Welcome back to Ron's Radio Corner. And this is uh, the $200 General Electric uh, transistor radio. Well, not really, but almost. So the story behind this radio is I was on eBay and saw this radio sitting there for 99 cents. Still days left to the auction, but no one had shown it any interest. And I decided to put it on my watch list. And as we got down to the closing hours of the auction, it still had no bidders. And so I decided, with maybe I don't know, hour or 40 minutes to go or something like that, that I was going to place a bid. Um, I mean, it looked in really nice shape, and I liked the look of the radio itself. And so I said, you know, 99 cents, I'd be happy with it. But I really didn't have enough interest to want to spend any real money on it. So I was out and about, and 40 minutes or so left on the auction. I decided I would put in a $2 bid. If anybody wanted to spend more than $2 on this radio, they could have it. The only problem is that when you type 200 on your eBay app, that's not $2, that's $200. So unfortunately, I had put in a ridiculously high reserve bid for this. Um, and so I sat, as the auction counted down, slightly terrified someone would have an interest in this and want it and bid this up to some ridiculous price that I would cry that I had to pay. Now, I never had any fear that it was going to cost me $200. I just figured it could cost me more than the $2 I was willing to spend. But happily, that didn't happen. The 99-cent bid was the winning bid, and with maybe an additional $5 or so in shipping, it showed up at my doorstep. Now, it's in nice shape. The case doesn't have any particular cracks or flaws or maybe a little scuffing. Heck, it's I assume from the early '80s, at least from what I've seen online. That seems to be where it is. And this model, by the way, I'm talking about it without going into it. This model is the General Electric model number 7-2500B. This one is made in Hong Kong, and it's a nice size pocket radio. It's a nice size transistor radio. It's not a pocket radio. Here is, let me pull this back a little bit here. Here is the Benz radio that I did a video on recently, and the GE is bigger in just about every possible way. I mean, it's thicker, it's taller, it's it's wider. I mean, whatever dimension you want to look at, the GE is a bigger radio. Um, as a lot of radios did back then, this runs on a 9 volt. Unfortunately, it doesn't have like a battery door. The back comes off, which I'm happy to do so you can see that. Thank you. Back in the day, maybe you had to use a penny or something to separate that, but there is what the inside of the radio looks like. I will say I find this a little amusing. The ATS AM radio that I put a video up on a few weeks ago, same deal. You pop the cover off, and there's the insides of the radio. But when you look at um, you know a lot of the portable radios that I have today, the battery compartment is its own little area, and you're not seeing the radio internals. So let me get that battery cover back on. So got the radio and threw that 9 volt battery in it, and very happily found that it played nice. Now I will say I did not find that it was a great performer. picked up the locals. Now, quick tour of the radio here. Let me put that down there. You have your on-off switch over here, right? Rotary volume knob, on-off switch. Then you have a very nice large size rotary knob here for tuning. On the back here, you have the knob for AM and FM. And there's a headphone jack or an earphone jack. This is what it had, one of those little mono earphones. So, like I said, put the 9-volt in, and right away, started picking up some stuff. Then I flipped it to FM. And what I got was nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I don't know why I'm getting nothing. You know, I pulled the back off and tried spraying, that FM AM switch with contact cleaner, figuring maybe that was the problem. But I never got any result at all. Not only does it not pick up FM, it doesn't even sound like it's trying to pick up FM. It's not like you're tuning that knob and you get a little bit of static, like maybe it's trying to receive something. It's just a light static. And unfortunately for me, I don't have the technical know-how to, pull this apart, diagnose it, and fix it. So, unless I have a friend out there, unless one of my friends, has some sort of interest in fixing this, it's probably not going to be fixed. I mean, the nearest radio guy is an hour plus for me, and I don't know if I think it's worth spending the money on fixing this radio. I spent a decent amount of money fixing my RCA Globetrotter. I kind of feel that probably wasn't worth it, but at least that had the benefit of having a little sentimental value for me, and the fact that it was something from the 40s. So I may end up throwing this out on eBay again, either by itself or partner with some other radios. It may end up in a box or in a drawer. Maybe I will continue to look on eBay and find another one of these radios that works, but cosmetically isn't as nice as this one, and put it all back together. I'm not sure. But what I do like about this radio, like I said, not a brilliant performer on AM, and I could pull out the loop and we could play around with that. But what I do like about this radio is the size of it. It's just not, once again, let me bring, it's just not, the small little pocket radio. It's a little taller, it's a little thicker, it's a little wider. It's a nice size. And, I think about, my dad who's, getting up there. This would be a radio that's just a nice size to hold. You could grab onto it securely. The dial on this is easy to read. This one's fairly clearly marked, but not nearly as easy to read. Just size wise, the font and whatnot, as this GE. One thing I do love about this is I open this up. I sprayed the switch as I was mentioning, but I opened this up and was really trying to see if there was something I could figure out. And when I pulled it apart, the one thing I noticed is a radio like this, and I have not torn this open, but a radio like this, you have this knob and it's moving something probably on a string in here, right? And that's how that bar is gonna, that selector is moving across the dial there. What's great about this GE is you have this really big rotary knob here, and if you pay really close attention here, I don't know if I can do anything more or less with the light. That doesn't help. Basically, this knob, right, from here to here, this knob is just one big circle. And when I open this up, I wish I had taken a photo. Um, this had some crazy design on it. It's not, it's a black dial with that red on it, and that red is it's it's not just like a half circle or something. It's a really unique shape. So when you're tuning this, and if you watch, right now it almost looks like a flat bar, and then as you go across, you can see it slopes there, and you go a little bit more, and you can see it just sort of you know moving across. Now it almost looks like it levels out, and now the angle is changed as you get to the top of the dial. And it's a great optical illusion. You just think you have a red or an orange bar that's moving from the left to the right, or I suppose if you go the other way from the right to the left. But inside it is this pattern that's on this black wheel, that 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 obviously, I don't know if it's fair to call it an optical illusion. You're only getting to see it through the window, so the pattern is designed to look a certain way as you're going up and down the dial. Yeah, so I love, I love, I think that's really clever. But so, um, so what can I say about it? It is an AM/FM radio that for me is basically an AM radio. It could have ruined my day if someone had decided to, that they liked this radio and wanted it, and if they had, they could have really made me pay a lot more for this than I wanted to. And considering that it doesn't work on FM, I'm really glad that they didn't. There we go. I wasn't quite seated in right. So, what do we say this was? This is the GE 7-2500B. You know, back in the day, it was probably a perfectly acceptable little AM/FM radio. For me, it's kind of a subpar AM and a no FM, but the benefit was it was only 99 cents, and I guess there's the moral of the story, right? That when you're buying these things, sometimes you're gonna make out, and sometimes you're not. And this is one where I rolled the dice and didn't quite make out, but at least it didn't cost me that much. So, thanks for watching.